Catherine. I'm a compulsive overeater. Thanks. I'm Catherine. I'm a compulsive overeater. I came to OA in about January 2005, and I became abstinent very soon after that date, and I've been continuously abstinent since then, which is really quite amazing to believe. When I found my way into OA, I was directed into OA, I was about between 124, 126 kilos. And I've maintained a really stable weight, aside from some health issues which have made me fluctuate downwards sometimes. But I'm about low 60s-ish. And I just can't believe what's happened to me, physically, let alone spiritually and mentally and emotionally from, recovery. I'll just give you a little bit of a backstory as to how I arrived in OA. I am in another 12-step fellowship, and I hope it's okay to share here that it's AA. I was incredibly sick, and I consider it an absolute miracle that because I drank alcoholically for all of my adult life, and I drank alcoholically from when I was allowed near alcohol without parental control from when I was about 9. So there's no question in my mind that I am an addict, and I can't turn off drinking without something greater than myself. And it's really interesting when I looked back through my food story when I got into OA. I could remember being pissed off about certain things that I wasn't allowed to have. Food was such a part of my life, and I had no idea. I binged. I had no idea I starved. But really, all I did was eat. And especially in those terrible last years when I was just so miserable, and I didn't know it was a way to escape for me. And the reason I knew that I was a compulsive overeater after a year in AA was when I realised that being in recovery from alcoholism meant absolute abstinence from booze. I remember being terrified because I thought to myself, what am I going to do with all this time now if I can't drink? And I was really terrified. And then a year or so later, I get to OA, and it was, in my case, it was 3 meals a day and nothing in between. And I had at that stage, I didn't know nothing. You talk about the fog that we experience. One of the things that was that cruncher answer to my question about whether I needed to be in OA or not was I was in the same boat. I was terrified how I was going to fill in my day now if I didn't eat. And that just was that crystal clear bomb blast that told me I was just as much of a food addict as I was in alcohol, and that for me, food and booze was exactly the same. So, I'd spent my first year in AA, and I was doing the steps, and I was led through the steps with some people who sponsored me, and certainly one of them had very long-term recovery. At the end of that process, I made amends. There were a couple of things that I was advised not to make direct amends about because they felt that it might harm me, and it was work-related stuff. At the end of the 12 months, I could observe other people who come into AA looking happy, getting on with life, getting relationships, looking like they were transforming. And I felt like I was falling apart, and I was so confused. I knew I was not getting the step 9 promises as much as I could understand it. And I could not understand what was going wrong because I had done the steps and I had done amends, and here I was so depressed. I was so unhappy. Thank God I shared it with my sponsor, and she said, I recommend that you go and you do another step 4 just on yourself, just all about yourself. And I remember she said to me when I shared it to her, instead of giving me platitudes, she she said, good on you for getting honest. And I didn't even know I was being dishonest, you know, just again, that fog clearing. But I started to just pour out my pain about my weight and my size. And I'd had a few, you know, experiences with diet clubs outside OA over the years where I'd lost like a massive amount of weight, 40 odd kilos or more, you know, but I'd stacked it all on again and more within a really quick time. And I was single, I was long to like years, single, never had a you know, a relationship other than really dysfunctional ones. And I was just so unhappy because, you know, I felt like I would never be loved. I was not lovable. It was, you know, to do with my weight. And instead of hearing from my sponsor when I shared all of this with her, that no, you're beautiful, someone will love you, la, 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 la. She said, good on you for getting honest. Did you know that food can be as addictive as alcohol? There is a fellowship that deals specifically with this, and I suggest you go. And I knew that I had to follow the suggestion. And I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful because the thing that got me to OA was fear of drinking. Again, I was really terrified of picking up a drink because I had really, really, really gotten down to the dregs with it. And I was really angry. I was really angry that I could see my AA friends getting on with life and getting happy. And I was kind of sheared off into another 12-step fellowship to do my work. I was pretty pissed off, to be frank. But I was more scared, and I went. I think I would have done anything to stay sober at that stage. So I went, and I listened to these people in OA, and I think I was so angry that I wasn't really hearing what I needed to hear at that moment. But I remember, I don't know whether it was in the meeting or not, but the 12 and 12 in AA, I remember at some point around those first couple of meetings, looking at step 1, and it's on the bottom of page 21 in my little book, and it says, and this was me, honestly, this was again one of those bomb blasts that went off in my head. We know that little good can come to any alcoholic who joins AA unless he has first accepted his devastating weakness and all its consequences. And for me, all the consequences were all the rest of my addictions and all the rest of it, you know, and it was like, well, food, my eating, therefore my weight, you know, and it goes on. And this was exactly where I was at until he so humbles himself. His sobriety, if any, will be precarious. Can I tell you how scared I was at that point? And of real happiness, he will find none at all. Not some, and not just pretend happiness. Real happiness, none at all, until I humble myself. And I knew where I was. I knew that for me, I had to go down the road of getting into recovery from my compulsive overeating. And I didn't even know what that was. It wasn't until a while into program in OA that I realized I had both binged as well as starved. I didn't know that. You know, I knew I ate and I ate and I ate and I ate, but I didn't know I had all signs of it, you know. This is such a revelation, you know, and I'm really grateful because I got a sponsor. And she was a lady who was also in AA, and I thought that was really great because she would have that understanding as well. And as my awareness started to grow, I realised that, you know, for me, inextricably, in my case, food and booze are absolutely intertwined. So it was important for me that I combine them, you know, combine my recovery. And I asked her to be my sponsor, and she was very, very direct with me. And I'm really glad. I needed a tough sponsor in those early days. I needed someone not to soft soap me. I needed, you know, the proverbial kicks in the rear end, and she was lovingly direct. And I'm really grateful that I've had people who've been, you know, who have told the loving truths that may have been difficult to hear at times. But she said to me, because I said to her, I don't understand, you know, I've been in AA, I've done the steps, you know, I don't need to do the steps again. And she said, well, if we're in active addiction, we've left something out of our step 3. And pretty frankly, you know, you need to go back and do it again. And then I asked her if she would be my sponsor. And she said, well, we'll see how willing you are. I'll give you 2 weeks as a trial sponsor. And if you show me that you're willing, we'll go on from there. And thank God I was just so scared, because I remember being really affronted, how dare she speak to me like this, but I was so scared. I did it. And I'm
5
really
minutes.
grateful, because thank you, that she took me through the steps really thoroughly, really thoroughly. Everything was put right, cleaned up. I have a clean conscience. I did the scary ones, and I was told, go put it right. I risked my job, I risked my reputation, but I had a clean conscience. I walked away from that process. And before I even started to put step 8 into action, I was thinking about whose names I was even going to write on the list. I felt this sense of weight coming off me. It was so palpable that I actually rang someone and said, I haven't even started writing names. I'm just thinking about it, and I'm feeling light. And it was amazing. I was just loved and supported through it, and I got the promises. And, now on the other side of all of that, I have kept working the steps to the best of my ability. The bedrocks of my program are doing these steps on a daily basis. My daily cleanup, I do service, and this applies for both fellowships. But the absolute foundation, and the thing that I know, if that goes, I might as well not do anything, is the relationship, the honest seeking relationship with my higher power. And the gift of abstinence for me has radically changed my life. I mean, my health has improved out of sight. I've had some other issues that came up in recovery, but were unconnected with all of the other health issues I had before. Spiritually, emotionally, having the tools, having a program, having values and principles to guide me in my daily living, I would not swap. There's a phrase that I heard from someone very early. I started going to this fabulous meeting, OA meeting, and someone said to me, there, nothing tastes as good as abstinence feels. And I swear that is absolutely true. And nothing feels as good as cleaning up my past and then keeping clean on a daily basis. If I don't have peace. But as I said, the bedrock is this gift that has filled that hole in the center of me. Really, finding my center. I do know peace. I do know serenity. I have joy. I can live to the best of my ability, and when I don't, I can clean it up and get peace back. I'm learning to love myself. I could not spit those words out. I tried to in early recovery. Look at myself and say, I love you. I couldn't. It was like I was choking. And now I honestly do. And I've had sort of even a greater revelation just in the last week, of my own worthiness, just because that is the way it is. That's what I believe. And it's taken me a long while to believe in unconditional love, to believe in my own worth. And there is joy in giving this away. We do service because it keeps us sober and abstinent for those who need sobriety. But it actually makes me feel really good. It makes me really good to actually help another person and know that someone who's coming in and struggling and trying to figure out the whole how it all works and what to do, and in their daily walk through life, just to know that you can be that loving ear and that loving support and watch people flower. I never imagined I would be given something like I've received in recovery. It is literally beyond my wildest dreams. It has not been easy. There are days when it's been really, really hard. Life's challenges, as we all know, have been and can be really, really hard. But I've been guided and led through it, and I really believe that if I have handed my will and my life into the care of my higher power, I can trust that whatever I have to experience is for my highest good. And then that connects me with gratitude, and it kind of takes the sting out of stuff. It's sort of like it shifts that focus from difficulty to gratitude to openness, to whatever it is that my higher power wants me to learn and do and be. So look, I will leave it there. Thank you for the opportunity to meet you all and share what has been given to me, and given to me by the service of others as well as by my higher power. It is people like us that sit in these rooms and share our own stories and answer the phone, answer the text, help each other and allow us to be the miracles that we're becoming. Thank you.